Hey guys, good afternoon. Kristen here. I am the fabulous football babe. Ready to talk some football today. Back home, back at it after vacation. I hope everyone had a wonderful, pleasant, delicious Thanksgiving. It's crazy. It flies by. I feel like it goes by super fast. I feel like just yesterday was week 6. And now we're post-Thanksgiving, and not only post-Thanksgiving, it is December 1st today. It's officially December. Home stretch. As a Patriot fan this year, can't come fast enough for us this year, but it's crazy that the season's almost over. So we're going to run through a couple things, talk about 2 of the big stories kind of floating around the NFL that aren't really football related, game necessarily related. We'll talk about Tom Brady's mediocrity comments, and then the flex of Monday Night Football. So if you guys are new to my channel, you hit subscribe. Let me know what you think. Just here on my way to school, pick up the kids, pick up the preschooler, chatting some football. I am a New Englander. Have been my whole life, lived here my whole life. Dad's been a huge football fan his whole life, huge Patriot fan. Grew up a Patriots fan. Lived all over the place, never wavered from the Patriots. So Tom Brady is basically a god around here. He's the GOAT, undisputed GOAT. I don't think, we can go into, I think I'd pick Montana or this or whatever. No, Tom Brady's the GOAT, and there's no question. There's no denying it. He's the GOAT. You want to come at me with Deflategate or Cheatriots, I'll shut you down super hard. That's another day. Let's talk about his mediocrity comments. People responding to it. Alex Smith can shut your face. Barry Sanders maybe your team's bad now, but my team's not mediocre. Fine, you've been awful for 30-something years, and now you have a good season, and good for the Lions, right? I think everyone can be on board with this. If your team isn't in it, you enjoy football, why not throw your support to a Lions team and a fan base? Absolutely. I could be in on a Lions Super Bowl. That'd be crazy. I'd love to see it. So no hard feelings to the Lions fans. That's not my point of this story. My point is, I think Tom Brady's right in his statements. If you're not sure what he said or what you're talking about, just Google Tom Brady mediocrity. It'll pop up. He was on his podcast just talking about how the rules are changing, and it's just making it the defense is just every time you turn around, any hit is a penalty, and that he was talking about how he wouldn't throw balls at a certain point because he was like, I'm not going to put my receiver out there to get hurt. I'm not going to lead my receiver into something that is going to get him hurt. I'm not going to put them in a position to do that. I'm going to change what I was doing. I'm going to check down or throw only to this spot. I'm going to put this in this spot so Julian catches it and he's not going to get hurt. It's not putting himself out there. The way Tom Brady could read defenses and understand, and so much of what football was about for him, especially, I think, was about that. No one's going to sit here. I will not sit here and argue with you that Pat Mahomes is a far superior athlete than Tom Brady was at 27 or 28 or whatever Pat Mahomes is now. 100%, 1000%. No one's going to deny that. Tom Brady is not this superior athlete. I mean, it took him 21 seasons or something to hit 1,000 rushing yards. I mean, we all know that. So he really had to learn football. He had to learn what you were doing. He had to find a different way to beat you because his physical athletic ability wasn't necessarily going to do that every time. He couldn't rely on some of that stuff. So he went and studied and learned what you were doing and figured out how you wanted to play this and how you were going to defend this and how can I put my guy in a position where we're going to get over that defender, or we're going to whatever X's and O's football. Tom Brady is X's and O's football. And as much as Pat Mahomes is super talented, and what Pat Mahomes does is football voodoo, I call it. You don't even understand what you're seeing. You're sitting there watching the game thinking oh man, this is going to be a 22-yard sack. And he turns it into a 19-yard gain. And you're just I don't need, that's what I say when you watch the Chiefs. I don't even know how that happened. Just when you think you're the defense, we're going to get him. And then you're what? How did he do that? It's just so, it's otherworldly sometimes what he does. But even he admitted it. What was it? Last offseason that he's I don't know how to read a defense. He literally said that out loud to people that Pat Mahomes, star quarterback, I think he'd already won one Super Bowl. He was the MVP of the Super Bowl. He was like, I don't really understand how to read the defenses. So he's relying solely on just his physical ability, his athletic prowess and talent to run around, and the other guy's athletic talent to put it somewhere, and that's what the game has become in some ways. And that wasn't Tom Brady's game at all, because he didn't have that ability. His ability was how smart I am, how knowledgeable I am about football. And I think that's what he's talking about, is when you have star face of the NFL quarterback saying, I don't know how to read the defense, you're putting on, in a way, then a subpar product than you had in the past. And I don't know how you can fight that. I don't know how you disagree with that. Like, if you, like, I always go back to with some of them, and then, again, I'm not a Chiefs fan, I'm a Patriot fan. So for a while I was like, I hate the Chiefs, I hate Pat Mahomes, right? But again, otherworldly what he's going to do to you, that you think that you're like, oh, we're up by this many points and all this, what was it, a couple games, like he was 28-0 or something by the Texans or the Titans or something, and he comes back to win the game, and you're just like, son of a bitch, right? Like, but I always go back to the AFC Championship game against the Patriots, and how everyone wants to talk about overtime, and how, oh, if only Pat Mahomes should have got the ball, and oh, that came down to a coin toss, and be like, okay, you're right. I mean, it comes down to the coin toss. That's the game. That'll always been the game. Like, you're gonna flip a coin when overtime starts. Like, I don't know how else you want to start overtime, unless we're gonna play soccer and just keep playing. I mean, I don't know how you're gonna want to do it. But no one talks about with that game is at home in the AFC Championship game, the big bad powerhouse Chiefs and Pat Mahomes. How many points did they put up in the first half? How many points? Oh, wait, 0. 0 points. That game was 17-0 at halftime. They put up a big fat goose egg in the first half. So let's talk about that. Don't want to talk about that? Fine. Let's talk about the last drive of the Chiefs. The Patriots come down, they score, and I was at my house listening to it on the radio. I was staining my stairs, and there were, what was it, like 48 seconds they gave him, and I'm just like, oh my god, that's so much time for Pat Mahomes. What are we doing? We should have done something else. Like, we gave him too much time. And how many times do you sit there and say 48 seconds is too much time? Not a lot, right? But with Pat Mahomes, you're like, oh god, that's too much time. They had no timeouts, and he didn't know how to run the offense. They're just running it out there like they have all the time in the world. Like, they have timeouts. They weren't using the sideline. He's throwing across the middle of the field. One of the receivers got a first down, and instead of going out of bounds, he's like, oh, watch this move, and he like dukes a defender. I don't know if it was one of the McCourty twins or not, and he's like running back across the middle of the field. You don't have a timeout. So you had to kick a field goal in that situation, because now you had to spike the ball to down it to stop the clock, and you didn't have a chance to run another play. You were out of time. You had to kick the field goal to tie the game to go into overtime in the first place. Like, you couldn't take a shot at the end zone, because if you did and you missed, it's 31-28 or whatever, and the Patriots win. So, like, if it just baffles me that you're just like, he didn't know what he was like. If that was the Patriots, and at that moment in time, it would have been Julian, get out of bounds, Gronk, out of bounds, use the sidelines. We're not running it up the middle. If you get the first down, yes, you need to get the first down. We need to keep going. So get the first down, but don't make this fancy move and be like, oh, watch me, and think in your head, you know, that receiver was like, oh, this is the highlight, this is it, this is my moment, I'm going to go score the winning touchdown to send my team to the Super Bowl, this is going to be on all the morning shows, all the highlights are going to show me. And instead you get tackled, and now we're like the whatever field goal they kicked, but they're in the middle of the field. You got to get everybody up, and everyone has to be set, the whole line, everyone has to be set. You can't spike it with an offensive lineman still running up the field. Everyone has to get set, and you have to down it, and you ran out of time. Like, if Pat Mahomes knew how to run an offense, maybe they don't do that. I don't know, but I think that it's those kind of things I think that Tom Brady was talking about is that kind of mediocrity, to be like, it's not about the game, it's just about how crazy of a throw I can make, how crazy of a catch I can make, what kind of highlight I can have, how I can make a move and make these two guys miss, and you think I'm going out of bounds, but oh wait, I'm not, and you can't hit me because I'm a quarterback or something, or if you hit me and I did go out of bounds, it's going to be a penalty. And it's just changed so many rules about things that it changes the game and the way people approach the game, and that's fine, but it is different. And I think that's, to me, that's what he was talking about. And to me, if that's what you're thinking and that's what you're looking at, what I just explained, then he's right. And Alex Smith was like, oh, he's played in the easiest division in football. Technically, he didn't. Someone did it. You can find it. Google like division win percentage. It was like from 2006 to 2016. It was like a 10-year stretch in there. It was a couple years ago. And when you took away the division winners record, so you took away the number one team in the division and their record and just left the other three teams and their record, technically, percent-wise, win-wise, the easiest division in football, drumroll, was the NFC North. And honestly, that makes sense when you think about it. Like the Lions and it's the NFC North was the easiest division of football for that stretch in there in those 10 years. So it was Aaron Rodgers who had the easiest road to anything. And then like the AFC East was third. I can like see it in my head that the AFC East was third. And I think it was the South. It was either the NFC South and then the Patriots and then the AFC East, then the AFC South, or it was the NFC North, the AFC South, the AFC East, then the NFC South. Like the Souths were right in there too. When you took away the division winner, it was the other three combined, which one was the easiest? And it was the NFC North. So everyone can sit down now. It probably wasn't by a lot. It wasn't like percentage wise of like, oh, the AFC East was above 500, I don't think, but they were hovering close, and the NFC North was like 3 something. Like it was the NFC North. So Google it, find it. I'll try to find a link for it. I know I can I can picture it in my head to see what I'm talking about. So the mediocrity in the AFC East, Tom Brady just made everybody else look so bad that you think, oh, it was so easy for him. It wasn't. I mean, the Bills, the Jets, they were winning football games. They sent 2 wild cards, a wild card to the playoffs. Like, some of these teams were in it. They just couldn't come up with 12 wins that you were going to get to beat Brady and the Patriots. That's what you were looking at. Now, yes, in the NFC South, you were like, oh, maybe this year only 9 wins the South. Good for you. That's all it won. But in the AFC East, in those years, you had to find 12 wins. If you didn't get 12 wins, you weren't winning. Simple as that. Simple as that. The other thing we're gonna have to talk about on my way home, because I'm at school and he has 3 minutes to pick him up. But we will address the flex on Monday Night Football. And kind of explain a little bit about the scheduling, a little bit about the flexing. We'll talk about that. I will be right back at you here in just a couple minutes.